Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome back to another one-on-one. Uh, Full disclosure, I wanted to do this one on Valentine's Day because my guests here just absolutely epitomize, in my humble opinion, what it is to have found your perfect partner in life and the perfect addition to our little gaming family out there. I met these two through one of our giveaways. Was it last year?
It was the summer one, yeah.
Right. Where these two were the lucky winners of the Tarrasque miniature, and of course, I'm going to demand to see it, painted up like right now.
Well, it's not painted yet. I'm working my way up to that skill level.
I'm just teasing. You know what? I'm going to give you a little tip, at least from my son and I, our position or opinion. It's actually easier to paint the big stuff, and a lot of people say no. You got to start with the small and work your way up. Like, nope, it's so much easier to paint the big things, in our opinion. I don't know why. And if you use a lot of cheating, dry brushing and washes, just pick your color scheme, slap it on there, throw some washes, dry brush it up, and everybody who walks in is going to say, "Oh my goodness, where did you get that?" It's a glorious mini, and the dragon turtle that's coming from the new Kickstarter is supposed to be just as big. I have been waiting my whole life for a dragon turtle miniature that wasn't this big. I don't know if you guys remember the old 25 millimeter days where even the dragon turtles were the size of a yo-yo. I mean, just tiny. And this thing is like a dinner plate. I almost went out and bought like a fake ceramic turtle, because that's how big I want my dragon turtles. I want this thing. I want you to be able to put like a house on it, if not a castle.
Yeah.
And
I was gonna say, I for a turtle miniature, what I did is I bought a snapping turtle toy that was like about like this.
Mhm.
Kind of painted it and then just put it on a base.
Add
I
a
want
little
it bigger.
add some fins, and some, maybe some googly eyes or something, and call it a day. I mean, you put that on the table, and your players are just going to go, "Oh, we're in trouble."
Yeah.
To me, they were actually scarier than some of the other dragons because they would always get you unawares. You're in a boat, you're about to land on the beach, and then here it is. Or at least that's what's happened to me in the past as a player.
Well, if you've seen one of those alligator turtles in real life or something like that, they're terrifying.
Going to welcome Raven McMinn and Mac Thompson, two of my favorite players and favorite friends out there in YouTube, etc. Thanks for showing up, guys. I've been talking about you guys behind the scenes for a while because I want you guys to grow just as big as the best of us. There aren't enough, couples out there showing off, what it's like to live the dream. Every gamer out there dreams of meeting his gamer girl, and so few of them get that opportunity. So consider yourselves not just lucky but blessed. So I'm gonna hit you with some hard hitting questions. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Okay, that's the spirit.
Maybe.
Maybe. A lot of them are the same things I always ask everybody else, and they'll create their own questions. I should have actually sent you the list of questions, but
It's okay.
I didn't. We're all friends here. It's kind of a twofold question. How did you get into the hobby, and then how did you guys meet?
You start.
How to get into the hobby of playing games?
Yeah.
Well, short version, 80s. I knew about D&D, but I never had it. And I was in middle school. We had a swimming class as like a extracurricular thing, and it got canceled because of rain. And this one guy I was friends with, he brought in a box set. And I was like, "What's that?" Because I knew about it. It was out, and ran through that first little adventure. As we, were reined in, and then played once, had to play again, and I didn't own it for a while because I didn't have money.
Mhm.
So it was this thing where I would check, at first I had those fighting fantasy books. I was trying
Yes.
to use the system in there to copy D&D. And then the next Christmas, I don't remember what I got. I got like one cool gift, and it was a box set. And from there, it was like basic D&D. And then within a year or two, do little odd jobs, save money, get into AD&D
All your money was going to D&D. Yeah.
This
and
one?
comic books. No, it was the red box.
Oh, the one that's behind you then.
Yes, it was one of these. Yeah, mid 80s. And so at first it was, it's like how everybody kind of fumbles through playing it. I have
Mhm.
one brother that's a little bit younger, and a couple of friends that I made, and we just kind of played it, fumbled through it. Then of course we played a few other games too, Star Frontiers, stuff like that.
Mhm.
And for me, well, my dad is a military gamer.
Oh, okay.
In church, growing up, my dad would get the elbow from my mom constantly because instead of paying attention to the sermon, he was folding little papers into squares and writing military units on them for whatever game he was going to do.
Mhm.
And he had a hobby shop when I was in middle school, where he did stamps, baseball cards, model kits, not a lot of gaming stuff other than board games. So we grew up board gaming in our family every weekend, all the time. But I kind of had heard of D&D. And then when I was in high school, my friend had, his dad was hosting a game, running a game, kind of a homebrew kind of thing. And so I was invited to that. And so was Myke. We didn't know each other at the time, but we both ended up in the same game. So that was sort of my first RPG, like real RPG experience. And then also where I met him. So we kind of got into it there. And then from then it was just branching out, meeting
Love
other
at
people.
first sight, right?
Not really, but
No.
I meant gaming.
Yes, gaming, yes.
Were you one of
It was
those couples that hated each other at first?
Yeah,
Well,
we didn't hate each other, but
no.
we just,
Well,
I had a boyfriend at the time.
yeah, and I
so.
just was a friend of a friend of a friend that got weirdly invited, and then later it just kind of happened. So
Well,
Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason, and I'm glad it happened for you too.
Yeah,
about
we
that.
are too. In fact, for our first Christmas that we were dating, he got me my first official books, the
Nice.
second edition, and I still have them on my prized shelf with his little inscription that he wrote in them. So
Isn't that the best? I know so many people that like, oh, don't write in your books. I'm like, hell no. The best books in my collection are the ones that were given to me, that have something special written in them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I joke I want to get buried with them, but it would be a King Tut funeral if that was the case. They become so special. I have my original player's handbook here. Check this out.
Oh, nice. It's well loved.
That has seen some.
I mean, yeah. I've told the story before. I was playing my first game, and my DM wouldn't let us look in the books, which we thought was kind of a jerky attitude. So I was mowing lawns about middle school, and I saved up enough money to buy one just in time for the next game. I showed up, and he's like super torqued about it, just livid. And I'm like, hey, it doesn't say I can't buy it. This is America. What's your problem? Like, now you're going to know stuff I don't want you to know. I'm like, sucks to be you. And he was so upset that it spurred me on to mow even more lawns, so that by the time we had the next game, which was the following weekend, I had enough money to buy the DMG. And he's like, all right, fine, you Dungeon Master. And that was all it took. I've been Dungeon Mastering ever since. You guys game a lot these days, or life getting in the way?
Try to.
Yeah, we try to. We have a regular D&D game that we play a couple times a month with a group, and then we try to do things together, but we're kind of ADHD. So sometimes it's a game, sometimes it's something else. So
Yeah, what we go and play in is a 5th edition game,
yeah,
but at least the
Okay.
people are fun, and they
Yeah.
don't use a bunch of the extra
Very fun.
nonsense.
That's good. I mean,
I like
my
5th.
son,
I was gonna say I liked 5e at the beginning because with the flat bonuses, it really felt like the old game, right? Like basic. But then as they add, yeah, it got muddled, and it's not as fun, in my opinion.
We used to host games quite a bit, but when we moved to this house, it's a lot smaller, so we just don't have the room to host like we used to. So we don't really have people over too much to do that. So mostly when we play now,
Yeah,
if we can't wrestle any of the kids with us,
our home game with our kids is basically like old school essentials with some other stuff thrown in.
Yeah.
so you mentioned kids. What are they like?
Well, we have 3 sons and a daughter. They're all adults. Our daughter just graduated from high school. So that's why we kind of started our channel, because we're like, we have time to do something together. We don't have to constantly be on these kids. But our oldest is really, really into gaming.
He's in gaming. He's into history.
Yep.
That's what he's going to college for.
Yep.
A lot of his, let's say, his knowledge and opinions about like things like the Spanish Civil War and such really seem very familiar to your own son.
I was
just goes off on history, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And
then the two middle kids, the 2 boys are really computer gamers.
Well, they all are.
Well, yeah.
But our second son is our middle son. He was in the Marines, and now he lives back with us. Now it's like, it's the figure out what to do with life,
Yeah.
And then our youngest son, who's actually in his 20s,
he's going to college.
He's my
gamer.
Goes over my game shelf and like, oh. And when he found the old, like I kind of pushed it on him, like when he found like the old basic books, the old AD&D books, he loves the art. He loves what it tells. He loves how it informs the player. He's basically like, I don't want to play, modern crap. He really loves that old stuff. And I was like, oh,
that's awesome.
That's nice.
I noticed that with the art. I was looking at it, because I have all the books, and I was looking at the old art, and I'm like, you know what? I know why they did that now. They probably could have gone with a higher standard of quality when it came to art. But my theory is that, besides, money, that it made it more approachable. I mean, think of how many of us were drawing back then, doodling on our, homework assignments or some other sheet of paper while we were in class, supposed to be doing something else. It always reminded me of the kind of art that my friends or I could, accomplish back then. It was like, this is, this is as good as I can do, but it made it feel like, what, these guys they're just like me, this is their skill level. They probably wish they could draw better, of course, but this is where they're at, but this is what's inspiring them to create these pieces of art.
Yeah, when you look at that old art in those books, it makes you, it's evocative. It makes you want to play the game. Like in the DM book, I remember the one with the skeleton with the knife coming after the guy with the room was filling with water.
In the water? Oh, I'm getting ready.
That just puts your mind in so much, like, what would I do? How am I going to get out of this? Is there, piranha in the water? Is there sharks? What's going on? It just, the imagination starts going with that a lot. The new art in newer books, I'm just like,
it's too much.
It doesn't, it just is like, either it's a flat, they're flat standing posing,
right,
or it
leaves nothing to the imagination.
It doesn't connect, in my opinion.
And yeah, especially like Easley. I know a lot of people like him, but his art throughout the second edition stuff, it was like too perfect. And yes, there can be such a thing. And there was literally, there was no room to imagine the rest of the story because it was all like, psh, psh, this is the story. This is exactly what happened. I mean, maybe I could be wrong on a few images here and there, but I just couldn't get into it. It was too much, too glossy, too. And I don't mean the paper, but I mean it was just too much. We were used to, art we could reproduce ourselves, and it made me think, oh, that they're shooting for this high level of gameplay, mind you. At that time I'd already been gaming for like 10 years as a paid DM every single day. So, I knew all the stuff. I knew all kinds of people of all different age groups. And then second edition came in. It was just like, oh, they want, they want different kinds of people. Even then I could feel it, they want, I don't know. It's just,
Well,
it really bummed me out.
I think second edition, even though that's the one where I finally had like my old AD&D books, I bought them all used. I had, that's how I had to do it. But that was the first book I bought like new, the second edition one. So, it holds that. I worked, earned the money, but I know second edition did have it was cleaned up.
Mhm.
They did the whole no demons, devils, which I didn't even notice for a while because, of course, I was using the older books, with it, the old monster manual. And then I'm like, oh, but
Don't get me wrong,
I
there
really
were
like
some great things in 2E, but the things that they took out were the things I liked the most.
Yeah, some things didn't need cleaned up. Some things, the messiness was what was the good part.
Mm-hmm.
That gave it the
raw feeling. The this was something special.
Yeah.
It almost had that kind of underground indie feel for the longest time, and they wanted to take it out of the shadows, out of the basements and that sort of thing, and into right next to your McDonald's kind of mentality. And I like that idea. I wasn't one of the kids that got bullied for playing, but I knew a bunch of folks that had to deal with that stigmatism of oh, you're a nerd, you're a D&D geek, that sort of thing. I walked into my gaming store and it was like walking into Cheers. Everybody knew me, everybody was glad to see me. Hey, are you running a game today? That kind of thing. And at school I never had any of that issue, but I can see why they tried to kind of. I'll do that. You got a question there, Jen. And I like that sort of indie sort of almost punk rock feel to it. When you remember getting the flyers for garage parties or what have you, and this, never
like
heard of before band was going to
like
play.
some of the old module covers, even they look like kind of like album covers in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. In answer to the question, do I prefer female characters or male? I actually prefer female, but that being said, some of my favorite characters I've played have been male. So I try to mix it up and play both. I try not to get myself in a box. I tend to like a certain type of character, and I try to like stretch that every once in a while. But two of my favorites were an elf cleric that was a male. Who was kind of involved in an epic storyline. He had a sentient sword, so I really enjoyed him. And then another one was a male bard who I really, really enjoyed as well. But generally, I prefer female characters. But
that was actually one of my questions. I don't know how Raven was reading my mind, but what kind of characters do you like to play? Like your favorite, and it doesn't have to be D&D. If there's another genre that you're a big fan of, shoot, I'm gonna have Jen go first because she was already halfway there.
Well, we play World of Warcraft too, and so in World of Warcraft I always play a night elf druid. Well, I mean I have other characters, but that one and her name coincidentally is Raven, and I always play that. In every time the game comes out again, I make Raven the druid again. But for D&D, well, really for anything, I usually prefer like healers or mages. I like the ranged characters. I'm not much of a melee person, so If I do play melee, I almost always want a paladin.
I'm a huge fan of paladins. They're the hardest character to play and some of the most rewarding because everybody else, they can get away with murder literally, and the paladin has so many restrictions. It's that paladin in hell picture from the player's handbook. I saw that and I'm like, that's D&D. The whole King Arthur, the knight in shining armor, the big damn hero with the special sword of some sort. Just
I love that there's so many different ways to play a paladin too. So it's really fun. My favorite paladin I've played was Charity Everglow. I had a whole family of the Everglow family. So Charity was a paladin and Chastity was a priest and Rhythm was a dancer. I had a whole background for this whole family, but she was really fun to play because she was very strict paladin. Then I've played other paladins that had different values or were more protector or more war. It was really fun. What about you, your character?
No, I just noticed somebody is talking about Star Wars: The Old Republic. We played that too.
We played that too. And I hated it because I made when I made the choices that were not so nice. I just would cringe. I don't want to be that person, but I'm making the bad choice. So
I just recently played Knights of the Old 1 and 2 on an Xbox that one of my best friends sent to me. He gave me his old Xbox with a bunch of games because I hadn't played it. To this day, it's still, in my opinion, the best video game or role-playing game I've ever played.
It is really good. I never got to play it because with a lot of kids that were playing it, I just watched them play it.
It was that good. It
was, and I was like, oh, this is a cool game. So I've seen all the endings, because they'd play it over and over and over, and then fight over who gets played next. But for characters, what do I like to play?
Fighters.
I like to play fighters.
He loves fighters.
A lot of times they're human, so kind of dull, I guess. When I also like to play magic users. But sometimes when I play magic user, I might not play the nicest character. If you're gonna hunt magic, you might be a little selfish.
Especially. Hold on a second. What's up, buddy? Burritos and tostada.
Okay. What kind of tostada?
We only have one kind.
Are you gonna do without the meat?
Yeah, that's the only thing I have.
Okay.
my dinner order. Today's Lent Meatless Friday, and we were ill prepared for that. Magic users are pretty much my favorite, and ever since AD&D, the idea being when you've got single class characters for the humans, or dual or multi-class for the elves, I'm like, duh, no brainer. Magic user mixed with anything, just sign me up for that. Magic user thief, magic user assassin, fighter magic user, druid magic user, cleric magic user, just sign me up for that, and I'm in hog heaven. I absolutely love it. I'm actually working on a magic user game that everywhere I go these days, most of the folks want low magic, and just stingy, skin flinty DMs that don't want to hand out anything cool. I'm not asking for the world, but I know the numbers for the DMG, the percentages of finding magic, and they just took off 90% of the odds in the games that I was in. It's just never finding anything. You're never going to succeed. You should have played a fighter, blah, 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 or a cleric. And I'm like, no, because I know a lot of people out there, especially today with the younger kids, they want to play magic users. They want the one thing that you can never get, which is real magic, real power, just the idea of being able to zap us, even if it's just one magic missile. Can you imagine how you would feel if you could literally do that? Just magic missile, just one.
We just finished up a campaign last year with our gaming group, and I was playing a wild magic sorcerer. And I wouldn't say our DM wasn't he didn't throw magic items at you all the time, but he threw cool ones out there. So I don't know. My character had a thing for fire, sort of accidentally, and
it was more than a thing.
And he
Fireballs.
had given the group this helmet that had these gems in it that you could throw to do different things like fireball and stuff. Well, my character basically had that helmet the whole time, and I loved it, like throwing big fireballs at these big things, and it was just so fun to have all that magic. Huh?
Was that the Helm of Brilliance?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's such a OP magic.
Like the rubies and the diamonds.
Yes.
And
oh my God! Yeah. If you've got a DM that's
well,
one of those on the table for you.
It was fun.
We were fighting demons in hell kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that is a game that at the last battle, last thing, I died. My dwarven paladin died. So I was like, you can't. Yeah. And, and he was like later, like, oh, are you okay with that? I'm like, yes, I'm okay with that. It's cool.
You're not supposed to ask. You're not supposed to, you know what I mean? That's just the way it is. That's the way the cookie crumbles. But I mean, that's what you want. I mean, if you're going to end a campaign, you either go out in a blaze of glory, or you live happily ever after with the princess.
Right. I was being dragged by a demon through a hole. I got one last shot on him. They hit me with disintegrate. I died. And he was like, what? I was like, I died. I'm dead. I'm like, I got called back. Morden called me home,
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, I've seen so many, temper tantrums and things like that. If you're going to play this game, it's not for the timid. Mind you, a lot of players are, but I can't think of a greater way to help someone break out of that shell. I've seen it a 1,000 times. People, really, mild mannered, and then you look at them a year later at the table and you wouldn't recognize them. They're just like, whatever. Just it's so much fun watching people do that. Did you like me notice that your kids were like, they had the D&D gene in them when they were little kids, when they were like playing make believe and that sort of thing? Did you ever notice that?
Well, they they had pretend puppies and pretend friends from a very young age. So maybe.
What was that game?
And our daughter,
not
for sure.
We played Hero Quest. It was the one with the hexes.
Hero Escape.
Hero
Escape. Yes.
We had found that on like clearance at a Toys R Us for like $9 a set. So I like put a bunch in the cart, and I still have one, but we had 3 or 4 sets, and I would come home and they would have all these tables in the basement set up with, their epic battles. And then I was like, oh, all right. So I bought some of the castles to it. And, then they started developing their own, they made their own rules. And I was like, okay, you want to know the real rules? Let's, and Brett, and then,
and our daughter
got him into playing D&D.
We have so many pictures and videos of our daughter just getting into his like miniatures and stuff, and just setting up these whole like playscapes on the big dining room table, and when she was like 3 and 4 years old. So yeah, they came about it naturally.
That's the way Jackie was with the Star Wars miniature game. He found because I had buckets and buckets of the Star Wars miniatures, the pre-painted.
Which game? Which game?
It was just called the Star Wars miniature game.
Was it Star Wars Duels? They came in a box.
Well, they came in a box. Blind. They were like the blind boxes. You didn't know what you were getting.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that was a little bit later. Yeah, there was a Star Wars Duels one that
we had 17 copies of too.
Well, we bought a bunch of copies of that because once it went on clearance, I'm like, let's buy it up, and yeah.
And I would come home and the whole floor would just be Hoth. You know what I mean? It was always Hoth with him, and then we started playing Battlefront, and we'd play that endlessly. And of course, we'd start with, our warm-up game is Hoth, and then we'll go into, a couple more battles. And I could just see it, watching him grow up. I'm like watching him play out in the backyard with his friends. And, he's telling him, okay, you're going to do this, and you're going to do that. It's like, oh my God, he's dungeon mastering at like, 5 years old or whatever. It was
It's-
awesome.
The game you're talking about, did it have like cards with it that had like stats?
Yes.
Yeah. That one was because I think they were like kind of similar to D&D stats. So that was another.
Yeah, I
it's
think
kind
it
of-
was actually kind of based on the D20 system, but I
Yeah.
don't know. I never actually. I own the West Wind version of or West End. I think you're thinking, Brian.
Yeah.
Role playing game. I never played it. I have all kinds of stuff for it. I've got some metal minis somewhere. I should find those, but I never played it. I was, always had a love hate relationship with Star Wars. Loved the first two movies. Then Return of the Jedi came out, and I'm like, but
Yeah. Well, it's kind of fun because when I'm the oldest of the kids in my family,
mhm.
I have a very large family, and my youngest brother was like 5 when we got married. So we used to drag my youngest brother around, and then we had kids pretty quickly. So
Mhm.
we kind of taught my brothers role playing games. My dad was really more into the military, games, the tactical stuff. So we got my brothers dragged in, and then when we had started having kids, then all of my brothers and our sons would play all together. Myke would run them on stuff. So we got to kind of see their progression from really young, from introduction all the way up, where our youngest son and our oldest son both have built their own campaigns and done their own DMing now.
That's
so
awesome.
it's kind of fun. And my brother, when our boys were little, we lived back in Kansas, which is where we're from, where my family is from. And my parents, we called it the community center because we have such a huge family, and somebody was at their house gaming in the basement 24/7. And
That's
whether
awesome.
it was board games or card games or miniatures or whatever. So our boys were, if they weren't at home playing, they were at grandma and grandpa's playing.
Yeah.
So it was just always a part of their life. So.
Her one brother that when I met, he was like 9 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
Then when he was a preteen, I got him the Rules Cyclopedia. It was like, first one's free. and then later I was like, slipped him all my, metal stuff.
And now
that.
his son, our nephew, is.
And then that book got passed down to his son.
And our nephew is
that same book.
He's a senior, and he is really, really into BattleTech now, right? Was it BattleTech?
And
a lot of BattleTech guys out in the community right now. That's making a really big comeback. Which brings me to what other kind of games you guys play?
Well, we do play, video games, mostly PC, like WoW. And then I love board games, card games, dice games, any kind of game. I'm for it. I incorporate them into my work. I do them all over the place. So any kind of game I will play. You mostly like miniatures games.
I like some board games. But like, of course I like Hero Quest. I like Descent. I like
we love Descent.
Games that in some war games. I tried a long time ago to get into like Warhammer and stuff, but it's pricey. So I would just, between my friends, we would just proxy all the stuff from all these other games that had similar miniatures. Because
it was
that's
funny.
the way to do it.
We were talking earlier, and we were talking about how like I generally am the one who will bring in new different games a little bit more. He pretty much sticks to RPGs a lot, but I often will bring in other things. And like I don't like football. I hate it, but I loved Blood Bowl. I don't like cars at all, but I played Car Wars like crazy. So it's
really?
kind of funny.
I played a lot of Car Wars. I never got to play Blood Bowl. But what I did was I played Epic Space Marines, right? And what we did was we made Titan football league. So the big giant Titan robots.
Yeah.
Well, we took one of the moles, the little tunneler devices, and that was the football. And we just played Titan football. Each player had 6 Titans, and it was crazy because you get your arm ripped off, and you have to play the rest of the game without an arm and things like that. But I never got the chance to play Blood Bowl. I always wanted to. Are there any games you have on the horizon that you're going to try to get into in the next years or so? or you guys kind of settled with what you got?
Oh, everything.
I've been trying to get we were talking about this today, and you had asked about if we're doing any videos, but we were trying to figure out what we should do because we're all over the place with what we've done.
We just love a lot of stuff.
Frostgrave.
Okay. Okay.
So we're gonna
Yeah.
try to do like a Frostgrave like thing on Saturday, and then kind of like try to make the video by Sunday and release it because I
Okay.
think that's a fun game because it's I don't know if you know anything about it.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's a skirmish sort of
Yeah.
treasure hunting sort of, capture the flag kind of game, right?
Yeah, you go and grab treasure. What it reminded me of is when I first read it, it reminded me of that old box set Ruins of Meth Draenor.
Okay. Vaguely remember that one.
Yeah, because it was that elven city where it was under some spell or curse, and you go in and you try to reclaim different treasures. And so when this was like this frozen city where you try to go claim, I was like, when I was reading the game, I was like, seems like they just put it in, yeah, I mean, coincidence, but it seemed very similar.
Yeah, it's kind of hard sometimes because we used to have, when all the kids were here and they were all gamers, we could play lots of things as everyone was here. But now we live here, our families aren't here, and the kids are doing their own thing. So we have to try to find things just the two of us can do. So it gets a little challenging sometimes because of that.
Yeah, and we've gone to a local game store, and it seems all they want to do is big scale 40K in 5e.
Because we're in a marine town, so that's what a lot of the Marines like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I imagine they play a lot of Magic the Gathering. Did you guys ever?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we were in that. We still have our that beta cards.
Yeah, we played beta and bought it up until about almost. I think we stopped playing in the early 2000s. So.
Well, we still have
probably about when I stopped as well. No, actually, I did play a little about a decade ago when what was it that came out? Ravnica, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, we stopped before that.
And I know my son would love it, but it's all boxed up because I'm selling it when I open up my shop. And did you save your cards?
Oh yeah,
we have them all saved nice. Yeah,
I think I have that almost complete Arabian Nights set and some other stuff, and I've just put it in a box.
That used to be our, when the kids were younger. The kids were really little at that point when we were playing Magic, so we could stay home, kind of watch the kids and play Magic, but without, worrying about distraction too much. So
or spills and things like that.
Yeah.
And we used to play with people, when the game was where you'd bet a card.
Yeah,
the ante. Now everybody's like, oh no. That's like, I'm like, well,
that one simple aspect of the game is what got it banned from a lot of high schools. I used to work at a game shop back in the day across from a high school, and the kids would come over during lunch to play me or somebody else in the shop or just each other. Because they, if the teachers caught wind of it, they would take them, and because it was technically a form of gambling, and that's not good for the kids. Well, I mean, if you're betting, that's it. And I know many a player lost a really choice card that today could be $500 or more. Think about it. If you lost a box or a Lotus or something like that, and you think about it now.
I think the most expensive card she lost was Mana Shackles back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother actually
I'm a conservative gambler.
Yeah, we stopped doing that. My brother had a Black Lotus that he got, and he actually sold it and got quite a bit of money back in the early 90s. So lucky for him. I was like trying to get it from him, but he's like, no. But he wanted to buy a bunch of stuff, and it is what it is. Now it's like insane prices.
Absolutely. And I plan on getting all that money for every one of my cards. I won't be selling them, in sets and that sort. Won't be selling them online. It'll be when I'm behind the glass. You want that card? It's that much, which I've been, planning on doing for a few years. I'm surprised you guys haven't, with that in your family history, thinking about opening up a store out here.
Oh, if we had the money, we probably would. I don't know. I tend to spread myself pretty thin with all my projects and things that I do, but
it would be kind of interesting. But like when we've gone to local stores, it seems like they're in one mode here. Whatever's the current, newest thing.
Yeah, and where we are is really small. We've actually thought more about like some sort of MiniCon or something like that, because I was a Girl Scout from first grade till I graduated high school. My daughter was a Girl Scout from first grade till she graduated high school. I was her leader, and there was a badge called the Comic Book Artist Badge for juniors, and I actually coordinated with the Palm Springs Comic-Con, the organizers, and I hooked up with some comic book artists and some cosplayers to lead a workshop for girls so they could earn that, and I did that for a couple years, and it was really fun.
That's awesome.
So that actually kind of got us thinking more like it'd be fun to do like a mini con, even if it's just like a weekend or something. But it's a lot of work.
With folks who've done several, and I plan to do a shadow con in Texas. Hopefully it'll be around January of 2025 in Texas. But I've got a lot of work to do to get that. But like Sean here says, they seem to be all the rage these days, and if you can make it work, I applaud you, because
I think the smaller cons are better because, one, they're focused. Two, you can actually meet and talk to people.
Yes,
and hang out.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost went to the, I was looking at it and I was like, but for me, like that Claricon for the Dungeon Minister.
Yep.
Driving, I don't want to fly, but driving, it's for, how far it is from Southern California.
I like to travel, so I'm all for it.
I would like to go, but I'm like, that'd be a couple days driving. It does sound fun.
Well, let me know if you go. I could use a ride, because I'm not a fan of flying. And Father Aaron is the coolest out there. When I
found,
only
like,
a matter of time before he pops in on your show. You just watch.
When I found his channel, I was like, this is just fun, because it was like what I did with my kids when they started, And except for his kids seem to work together a little bit more.
Yeah.
Some of my children embraced chaos a little bit too much.
In fact, doesn't our son have the chaos star on his shoulder tattooed? Yeah.
Don't dox him. Yeah.
Going through the comments here. You guys are subscribed to Mage's Musings too, I hope.
I don't know who that is. Yes, I am.
Yes.
Yeah. I found him early on, and I was, again, that was another, I was like, it was an early episode, like, because that's what I do. I go through YouTube. I don't watch regular TV. I don't watch movies.
Same here.
And it is like a puppet. And I was like, hold on, this is crazy. I love it.
Yep. And you know what? You guys have seen my show. It can get pretty spicy, but that's how we started out, was trying to be a nice, wholesome family show. And of course, like all things, the little guy grew up and now he's not so wholesome. I mean, he really is, but he likes bringing up religion and politics everywhere he goes. It's he's one of those kind of kids, and I absolutely still love all those folks out there that try to keep this hobby wholesome, because despite what the satanic panic would have had you think, it really was a bunch of people, regardless of things, sitting around a table and cooperatively working toward a goal, and having a blast along the way.
It's
we
the
need
social
so
aspect.
much more of that.
Yeah, it's the social thing. And I actually have a role-playing game that I do with my kids at work, and I see patients on a one-on-one, but I have an RPG that my former mentor and I created together that is for problem solving, that we use with some of our higher level patients that need some carryover work. And it's so great because it gets them really engaged. They love it. They love it so much, and they talk about it, and they're excited to come in, and I'm like, this is what gaming does. It kind of helps, I have people with autism, and we do role playing kind of things with them, and it's so much fun. It's so good, and I'm kind of PG in real life anyway, so it's pretty easy for me to keep things wholesome because I'm just sort of PG in real life. So,
did you just say the taboo thing where you use gaming as therapy?
I do use gaming as therapy, yes. But mainly because I'm bored if I'm not doing something I want to do. So I throw games into everything I do, games and books, because I have to be engaged in the therapy too as the therapist. So
yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say I did get, because I lived in the Midwest, then I've lived in northern Minnesota is where I lived, and then when I lived there and played with some people, I did get, it wasn't the nerd thing. People thought I was a Satanist because we played D&D.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what?
I saw all of that as well. As a matter of fact, I know from back in the day when I was working at the shop, I know 2 different kids that took it way too far and ended up getting arrested, institutionalized, etc. This was California in the 80s,
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff. And I don't know what happened elsewhere. I know how it was here in California, and there was a lot of people, with anything you can take it too far and go off the deep end. So I did see it. I know a lot of the people I know try to talk about it as if it was just an overreaction, but it had to start somewhere. And from my experience, there were people that this wasn't the right thing. And, so I still keep my eyes out for folks, looking for those signs. But I did a video. I look at it as therapeutic, not therapy. We're not licensed, but believe it or not, you may already know there are a lot of different facets of life that have taken role playing and used them in the corporate world, in the military, and now in psychology. There are practitioners who use it as part of their treatment for their patients.
Right. And I guess I should clarify that I'm a speech language pathologist. So when I'm doing it in therapy, I'm doing it for articulation carryover or fluency for stuttering people who stutter, or for problem solving skills. So I'm not doing it as a psychological thing, just to clarify in case anybody's confused. But yeah, there's a lot of research even in how gaming helps.
Yeah. When we're old and gray, we're going to find out that we were doing it all right by getting into this hobby. You know what I mean? Serious. There's so many benefits. A lot of people give me a hard time for noticing or talking about it, because I've noticed that the critical thinking skills that it develops, especially if you're a youngster, just gives you an added advantage in life. Mm-hmm. I see it all over the place when my son brings his friends over, the gamers that he plays with, not often enough in my opinion, but I can tell that they've already got that leg up, in what they're going to do when they graduate from high school, let's say.
Yeah, hypothetical problem solving and hypothetical, like when my kids were younger, when they have moral quandaries, that test, it wasn't testing, but it's like, what do you do? And then they'd have arguments and suss it out where you could kind of see, and then or they'd have a different thing than their character would have. It kind of gives them critical thinking. Mm-hmm. And that's some critical thinking is a big lack, I think, that a lot of people have.
And that's
common sense are like lost art forms.
That's funny, weird. I've never thought of doing that before, because I can't even say Lovecraft's monsters' names. So, but that would be funny.
Yes, we don't speak that. It's funny because I remember as a youngster, before I'd gotten into gaming, or this kind of gaming anyways, I did play some war games with my old man. we had the equivalent of earthquake and fire drills, which are a real life role playing situation.
Yep.
What do you do
Yep.
when this horrible thing happens?
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like
So many people after a stroke, they can't problem solve, and so what are we doing? As a speech therapist, I'm giving them a scenario and asking them what they would do. How would you problem solve this for functional real life activity? So it's just the same. It's just
and if
real
they say,
life versus a fantasy world.
and if they say we test the floor in front of us with a 10-foot pole, you're like,
yes, you're right.
Nice.
you survive.
So do you guys both DM alternate, or is one of you the DM and one of you the eternal player? How's that work?
I have DM'd a few times, but I usually prefer him to. I prefer to play and let him DM because I get a little, like I said, I tend to spread myself very thin with a lot of projects and stuff, and I get really wrapped up in it, and I get overwhelmed easily. So I have DM'd, but I usually let him do it.
Yeah, I think the one thing that's interesting that I think people would be weird about, because everybody's like, is way back in the day, you're the one who picked out Dark Sun and ran it.
Yeah.
With you being such a, how should I say it?
Be careful, Myke.
You're nice.
A bright person.
You don't like people. Yeah, you don't like. Yeah, you ran Dark Sun for people. You'd be like, you better make up 3 characters because this game says you'll die. I was like, oh.
Hey, what's up, Gamers with Coffee? Welcome to the show.
And in things like that, I was like,
did she run a good game?
Yeah, we played for a while. It was when she was first learning the game, because that was way back in the early.
Back, like right after we got married. Really?
No, it was before that.
Was it before we got married?
Yeah,
we got married fast. I'm surprised.
To each other.
Yes.
And that's why that's also a weird thing. Is like a lot of people, since we got married early,
we got married young and soon.
People assume that we were like high school sweethearts, and nope. We went to when I lived in there. We're across town. I only
40 minutes away from each other.
Yeah, I only seen you once in a while, and then we started kind of hanging out as friends, and it's like, hey.
Of course, that was before all the social media stuff, so we had to actually call each other on the phone, on the landline.
Oh my God, right? Don't you just miss that stuff?
Sometimes,
letters and actual phone calls, where people paid attention and weren't doing something else and that sort of thing.
And my dad was a cop and a hostage negotiator, so I would always get yelled at for being on the phone too long, because if he had a negotiation come in, we'd have to, he needed the phone. So
yeah,
that a chicken malfunction. I need to hear about that later.
Yeah.
Okay, here's something. There aren't a lot of gaming couples out there. That I know a few. Do you guys ever have those weird moments where you're like, oh my God, we're freaking playing D&D, where you're suddenly aware that other folks would find what you do in this hobby as weird as a couple, or any of those awkward moments. You don't have to share them precisely, just a yes or no.
Yes, like I guess well, everybody at work thinks I'm weird anyway, for multiple reasons, but D&D is just the smallest of those. But like I know a lot of people are surprised when I say that we game for a hobby. A lot of people that I run into, and in fact, in college,
tell that story. Tell this.
As I said, I'm very PG in real life. I'm very clean in my thoughts. Like and I'm not trying to be. It's just who I am.
Almost depressingly so.
I'm just that way. I'm just that kind of person. And so we were in I was in college and grad school, and we were asked to stand up and tell something surprising about ourselves that the rest of our classmates might not know. So I stood up and I said, hi, I'm Jen, and my husband and I like to play role-playing games. Well, they didn't interpret that to be D&D, so it was a little awkward. And I was like, no, it's with dice, D&D.
That's awesome. And you're opposite then. Yes, Brian. We know Brian is our resident, R to X-rated friend out there. He's a great guy, but
what I want,
if he can throw an innuendo out there.
I've only caught him a few times, but I wondered if Weird World War II, does he ever play Dust? Because that's a game that I can't find anybody to play with. One of my sons play with me, and that's it. The Dust Tactics.
It's like tanks and stuff, right?
It's World War II, but weird. It has Walker tanks and weird.
No,
stuff.
Dude, he don't get him started. You're gonna have to go over to his show to do that.
I was just wondering. It's a thing that I dipped into, and then no one played it. So,
oh no, he's very much into it. As is quite a few folks out there. To definitely check out his channel. Thank you, Anon. It's so tempting. I'm thinking about it, but right now the little guy just popped in. We haven't had a game in a year. He's been working on his video projects. He's making short mini series right now. I'll send you guys the link later. You might
I've watched and commented on his videos. Yeah,
right. That's right. I haven't checked recently, but I do remember now that you mentioned it.
Literally, he one time you sent me a thing say he posted. Within 1 minute, I was watching it, and I was like, "What is this?" And it seems like a very I don't know how to describe it, like a weird. It doesn't tell you what it is, but it kind of leads you in, and to what he's trying to do. And I was like, this is interesting in a weird way,
Mind you, he's been working on it for 2 years. He's only 15. Amazing kid.
Well, I think putting it together, scripting it, all that stuff is just impressive. And then the way he's telling it as kind of this esoteric thing of what's happening, with the conversation, I was like, all right.
Mm-hmm. Very reminiscent of how Dracula was written, I think.
Right. It's like transmissions.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of transmissions, what can we expect from you guys in the future? What are you guys working on?
We're gonna try to do the Frostgrave thing. There's lots of things that things that either one of us would do separately, but we're trying to find things that we do together more,
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's
we're gonna be doing some painting minis. I think I stink at it, but I'm willing to try. Every time I do one, it looks like a 2-year-old did it, But
you know what? I'll give you a tip. When you're painting a miniature, right? I found this out only recently, and I've been painting for 40 years. When you're painting a miniature, you get to a point, no matter how good you are, where you go, "Oh my God, this looks like crap." Okay, when you get to that point, you are halfway done.
Okay.
You push over. It's like running. You push over that point, and you'll be within minutes, depending on your skill level and the techniques, like dry brushing and washing, things like that. Once you get to that point, because when you've just done all the block colors, it shouldn't look good. Okay, you're just doing the bare minimum. Once you get to that where you're like, "Oh my God, this looks like garbage," you're halfway there.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do there's a couple of board games that we've gotten that are fantasy kind of themed.
I'm sorry.
We're gonna do.
Damn, that means all my minis are only half done.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna do that. What else are we gonna do? We have some more RPG stuff that we want to do.
Mhm.
We have a whole list of stuff, and we're gonna have some. We're actually gonna do some. Hopefully, if it works out, my parents are coming out in about a month, and my dad and mom being the original kind of gamer married couple, we were going to try to interview them for the channel. My dad is a storyteller.
Fantastic idea.
Yeah, my dad is.
Especially with your history.
Yeah, my dad will. He was the growing up, anytime we went to the grocery store, he would talk to the cashier in a different accent, totally embarrass us, and he'll tell a story to anybody. And he's got some doozies. And so we thought we'd do a little interview with them. And my brother and his wife and my nieces are coming out too. And they're all into gaming as well. So we're hoping to do some sort of game with all of them together and do kind of a family gaming review. So we have some of those coming up as well. So
awesome. Just you already mentioned that you have a tendency to spread yourself too thin. Be careful. Pick like a handful of types of videos that you want to do and stick to those. And if you do get bored or you're not seeing the results you want from your friends out there in TV land, then ask them what they'd like to see from you guys, as opposed to, unless it's something you absolutely want to do and it's like a new thing. Sorry about that, Siren.
Well, we're trying to kind of just do we're trying to kind of just do what we want to do naturally. And we're doing a lot of it to kind of spend more time together. And then particularly me right now, but you're going to too, learning the video editing piece. And so we're trying to kind of learn something new and just have fun together and let it go wherever it goes. We're kind of more like a variety show right now because we just like a lot of stuff,
That's the way it should be. I mean, you should be doing this for your own entertainment and enjoyment first, but you start getting famous like you guys will, you do have to cater to some of your friends out there in TV.
It is kind of fun when you get people that
like the same thing.
Well, when you get people that subscribe to your channel that aren't like, that they're recommended, or that they're like, oh, this guy told me to like these guys, or when like random people are like, oh, I'm sure you got that. I mean,
it just happened recently. I'm doing these top secret videos, and I know nobody cares. They're like my worst rated videos of all time. But it's like, I don't care. I want to talk about Top Secret. It was a great game back in the day. I loved it. I had a lot of fun with it. The people out there that enjoyed it, come and check it out. And some of my I can't. It's the way you write that though. I gotta wonder if you just if I tried to do something that I didn't care about and I didn't like, just try to promote the next new shiny, as we say. It would come across as fake.
No, then we'd all be doing 5e build videos. How to build a character for the best.
No, and I've got a good friend who does that. Who's a really really top-notch YouTuber out there. But that's his thing. That's he actually came in, more or less around that time, and he loves it. If I tried to do something, a video about something I didn't love, everybody out there was just like, dude, we know you don't care. You're just trying, you're trying to get, clicks and all that. And that's not why I do this. I didn't know it at the time because this was my son's idea to make the channel when he was like 11, if you can believe that. And if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be doing it. But it's what we're doing right here, right now. All of the great people that I've met is way better than all the numbers and although the money would be would be a hard act to top, but thanks to people like Cal Vanoni and my friend Grim, who's like never on YouTube anymore, that's the best thing. The friendships that you're going to make, it just, you can't even put into words how awesome it is, especially at our age when even I've been in California in Palmdale here for going on 12, 13 years. The only gamers I have met have been Jackie's schoolmates. Yeah. There are no adults. I've yet to meet one. I wear my D&D t-shirts every time I go out, thinking someone's going to go, oh, and it's never happened.
I know. Well, I'm the same way. I wear D&D and my other fandom stuff everywhere I go. So, and I never run into. Oh,
I'm still here. I'm still here.
stop, Alexa. I never run into anything, anybody from either of my fandoms that I'm always repping. Like, why don't I run into people? But I guess that's the way it is. It's a good thing we have YouTube to meet people, I guess.
Kind of like internet dating for gamers, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, oh, this guy, you know, or gal doesn't like, you know, Twilight 2000. They're not for me, you know.
Hold on, I like this guy. I'm an esteemed guest. I appreciate that. But 5e, yeah, I loved it at the beginning, and then disappointed.
And for me,
And I'm very disappointed in the company because even recently, they didn't. Their 50th anniversary video did not give any credit to literally the guys that founded the hobby. Did not like that. You know, I don't know if you've seen it.
Mhm.
It's not worth seeing.
Yeah,
You know
no,
what I mean?
you know, I remember when I was surprised that there was a third edition of D&D, and I'm like, no big deal, don't care. But I was buying their hero clicks, and I was buying their Mech Warrior and things like that, and
Yeah.
Mage Knight, and I'm like, these guys, you know, I like what they're doing. And then I started hearing about the other stuff, and you know, I'll still buy minis from them. I just bought this Mage Hunter Golem. I got a couple of these. The minis don't talk. The minis don't preach. You know, they don't tell me to get out of the hobby. Well, that one does. But you know, I'll buy a cool, you know, product like that. You know, especially since I don't buy it directly from Wizards of the Coast. I buy it from some poor schlub who's trying to, you know, build a small business and selling minis online or something. Yeah, no problem. But their books and whatnot, I can't have any part of that. Even if the game rocked, I wouldn't because of the stuff they've said. But you know, I'm old school AD&D first edition all the way. When I want to play a fantasy game, mind you, I've played a lot of fantasy games. I've played Palladium and just a crap ton of other games. But you know, that's going to be my fantasy game, and it doesn't do any of that. It doesn't preach. It doesn't, you know, reprimand me or tell me to get out of the hobby. It just quite the contrary. It says, hey, pick me up, you know, read this book or read that book, you know, because I found out that I played wrong, you know, because I actually haven't played much D&D in like a decade. I went to other games, and I know, you know, with the things I've been learning from people like Mage's Musing, etc. I'm like, oh, we were doing this wrong, you know. And an old buddy of mine who wants to get into my game, he's like, why do you want to play that? We should play Palladium. That was the game. I'm like, yeah, well, we played that game wrong too, you know. So
well, I guess I have an unpopular opinion. I don't have a loyalty to a system because to me the system doesn't matter. It's all about the DM and the players that you're playing with. And I don't care if I have to roll different dice or, you know, it's if the DM puts up a good story and a good setting, then I don't care what the system is. But he's the opposite. He cares about system. I don't.
Oh no, everybody knows that I am absolutely setting over system. But for me, D&D allowed me to make the systems easier, maybe. But yeah, I'm all about the setting. I want a cool world, a cool adventure, you know, versus
cool
same old. Oh, absolutely, it is all about the people when you get down to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my biggest regret, I think, was what was it? When for some reason, I decided to get rid of some of my AD&D books.
Probably because we had kids and we needed money.
Yeah, and I was like, I couldn't justify spending money at the game store, and they would give me trade, you know, like a player's handbook for any. They give me like $40 in trade. I was like, oh, like almost double what the cost. Like, okay. And I regret that now. So I bought reproductions, you know, You can see, you know, the yellow
Yeah,
spines
yeah. If you got them from
yellow
drive-through,
spines are above the 5e, and none of this 5e stuff none of it I paid cover price. No, and I just
oh no, you can get.
I love buying stuff. I'm that sucker that buys stuff just to read.
Me too. Me too. But I've got a stack of unread things next to my bed that
And
beat a whale to death with.
Yeah. I switched to tablet just for books, and thank God I did, because we have so many gaming books. There's no way, if I was still reading regular books and not on an e-reader, that I would be able to have it in my house. It would just be too much.
Nope, I'm still old school when it comes to all reading material. I do use my tablet to read stuff, because like recently with the top secret books, I have a bunch of them that are sealed. And I'm like, I am not going to spend $50 to buy a module that I'm not going to play, but I've got a sealed copy. So I found a place on the interwebs that's got all the modules that I want to read, and save me $50 right there. $50 that I might have spent on a book, an old book that I'm not going to use. I could spend that $50 on a book that I am going to use, or a game, or a module, or minis, or paints, or whatever. It is a
do share.
Alive.
Do share. If you have a thing that has some older things, do share, please.
Oh yeah. I'll send you. I mean, literally, when I do search for PDFs, there's places that there's a couple of them out there, top of the list for free PDFs. One is Scribd or Scribed. I don't know.
Yeah, Scribed. And I wish like Drive-Thru would produce more that was old school, because I'd buy it. I'd buy the reproduced stuff, because I did. But when they do it with a weird warning that this will trigger people or something, that's weird.
Yeah, Mac, I did the tablet partly because I was the person who had 3 or 4 books that I was carrying around in my purse, and my shoulder was starting to hurt because I needed a book with me at all times to feel secure. And maybe I didn't want to read that kind right now, and I needed this one. So I had to have choices. So, and my thumbs, my hand, I had like a tendon problem in my left hand, and my hand would get hurt from holding the books open all the time. So switching to tablet made a world of difference for me. So I get why your wife did it. And I know people feel like that about the printed books and the actual books, but it was so much better when I didn't have to drag them around all the time.
You can't smell a tablet.
No, but you also can't feel gross germs where other people touched it if you bought it at the used bookstore or the library. So
it's like old school D&D, risk versus reward.
You open a book and there's something in the pages, that's gross. So
yeah, you'd be surprised at all the weird stuff I've found.
I found a crushed centipede in an old book once.
Ew.
That was crazy.
That's
a big one, like long enough to be a bookmarker.
Maybe that's what they were hoping for or shooting for.
You open up another canine and you're like,
well, feeling like a wizard is always better.
Component. Just a spell component, right?
Yeah, just like spiders. It's like spider climb. You have to eat it.
Oh, wait till Raven reads that. Oh yeah, sorry, Raven. Did I tell you? You have to eat the spider to cast the spell.
Oh, and on the for games, I do prefer pencil and paper. I can't stand having a character sheet on a tablet. I want an actual character sheet that I write on. I use a notebook to actually write notes. So for gaming, I don't do it on tablets. I do all that with pen and paper. And I love puzzles and games, so I subscribe to puzzle magazines, and I do all those with an actual magazine. I don't want to do that on a tablet either.
I bet you did, Mac. That's weird.
That's gross. And awkward.
My boy still thinks girls have cooties, so he's not wrong. But
so do our kids. Like, we're never going to have grandkids at this point.
Well, that's not entirely true.
With that, I want grandkids already. I'm only going to be around a little bit longer. how am I going to get to spoil them?
Yeah.
If he doesn't hurry up and get married. But he's 15, so
Yeah. Our oldest is 31. I'm ready for grandkids. But that's what happens when we teach them to game, we turn them into nerds, we make them so their parents are the coolest place they want to be and hang out, and then
they don't give us grandkids. What the hell?
That's right.
How is that fair? Does that sound fair to you? It doesn't sound fair to me.
Right.
Yeah, but they're on a good path. I mean,
yeah, if the worst I have to worry about is not getting grandkids, I'm happy with that. Our kids haven't.
But then what are you going to do with when you who are you going to leave all your books to and your minis and
I got nieces and nephews.
Yeah, see, I don't have any of that. All of my family passed away a long time ago. So the only hope for my library is grandkids. Otherwise it's gonna get parceled out, and I don't like that idea.
Oh yeah, that's sad.
Selfish.
Yeah, that's sad.
Especially all the autographed books. Those got to be handed down. Some other complete stranger pulls out one of those, and they're just going to be like, crap. You know what I mean? So yeah, good question, Mac. Do you guys do any sci-fi or other genres?
Yep.
Maybe
we watch Star Trek every single day in this house. Every single day.
I like the sci-fi genre. Confession, even though I've read it and I made a character for it, I've never actually played Traveler.
Really? That is one of the best games out there.
My character died, so pick game.
We've played Star Trek and
we played
Star
a lot
Wars.
of FASA Star Trek.
Yeah, a lot of FASA.
Including I'm just waiting to let's just admit to it. We actually when we played Star Trek FASA, we set up desks and things in the room for the game master to sit in the front of the room, and then the commander sat in the front. Yep. We set up desks and tables like it was the bridge of a command ship. Yeah.
And I have a Starfleet uniform science officer, and I wear it as often as I can. If there's an excuse for me to dress up like Star Trek, I am dressing up like Star Trek. So, but I also will take any excuse to dress up for anything, anytime, anywhere. So
awesome. When I was working at my very first game shop, they had one of the extra props for the for like Sulu and Chekhov's console system. I don't know where they got it, but it was in the shop. It was awesome. And when the boys and girls come over to play at Casa Shadow, 3 out of 5 are dressed up. The dungeon master comes in a black hood and robe.
Yes.
One of the girls comes dressed up as a wizard, or a witch or something. And I forget one of the other one. She comes dressed as a boy. But it's the 21st century. What are you going to do? But it's amusing and a lot of fun. You've seen my boy. He's been dressing up on the show since the beginning with the fake mustaches and all the goofy stuff that he wears.
That was fake?
I've tried to get him for our videos. For our video we did on the Wizards and Thieves mini game from the Shadow Dark. I tried to get him to like dress up as a wizard, and one of us is a wizard, one of us is a fighter, and do a little script, but he's not so much into dressing up as I am. I'm like, when we went to see Wonder Woman, I dressed up as Wonder Woman and embarrassed the kids, so that's me. And yes, we have played Cthulhu, and I enjoy playing Cthulhu. And we played Shadowrun.
Forever,
Cyberpunk.
Forever, I didn't want to play Call of Cthulhu because everybody described it as just like the stories. You go crazy and die, and I was like, I don't want to play that. I want to play a hero that kills monsters. Mm-hmm. That's my opinion. That's how I want to play games. I want to kill monsters. I want to be the hero. But it was more like, oh, you could be the hero, possibly go mad, but shut the gate and keep it out. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that. Mm-hmm. I can play Cthulhu then.
Have you read a lot of H.P. Lovecraft or no?
A little bit. It's
Okay.
very wordy.
It's kind of hard to read.
Start with the shorter stories by page count, and work your way up.
Yeah.
Yeah, my thing is I like Conan for old stuff. Conan, Burroughs, John Carter
The good
Mars,
John Carter Mars. Yes.
Elric.
Yes.
That's
Souls.
We've
hence, like my moniker is, Chaos Star. I like Elric a lot. That's kind of what I enjoy, not that I approve of chaos, but
No.
the Fata,
Yeah.
it's just an interesting.
It's one of those. Have you read Lieber?
A little bit.
Mouser.
A little bit. I
Those-
want to get more of those books and read them all.
They're things like Elric and Lieber are two of the unsung heroes in the fantasy genre as far as I'm concerned.
And
Some
what
of the
people don't
best
realize
out
is
there.
I was gonna say a lot of modern fantasy, like Elric has influenced a lot from Warhammer and all that crap to even
The
R.R.
Witcher.
Martin stuff is influenced by that.
Just
The
not as well.
Targaryens are Melbonians.
Hello, how are you?
Aw.
Yes,
Aw.
I know. There's my boy. He smells my burrito that's on my table.
Yeah, and we played some.
You can't have it.
I'm trying to think what other non-fantasy stuff we've played besides Shadowrun. Like our first when we met, and that my friend's dad was running a game. He did like a homebrew thing, and he started with a fantasy, and then we switched to more of like a.
It was cyberpunk.
And my character had a Wolverine chip, and it was the coolest thing. Like as a brand new role-playing gamer, and I was like, I get to have Wolverine claws. What is this? So we've done some of that more modern stuff too. That was really fun.
I wish I would have never sold my original Cyberpunk set, but my players were just not into it. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll never play this. And, mind you, this was like a year or two.
Old box set?
Yes. I know I could buy it, and add it to the collection. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for now. Well, normally my cutoff point is February 15th.
Yeah.
So that's on my list, but I know it's just going to sit on the shelf, and I'll never get to run it until I get the shop open. So, Mercurius is telling you a place you can get the books for free on your device. Those the Fafhrd and Grey Mouser are still some of my absolute favorites. The whole thief class came from those books, as far as I'm concerned. Everything you know of as the D&D thief is the Grey Mouser, just hands down. Easiest reference point.
They kind of, a lot of those old things kind of literally defined what we play, more so than modern stuff.
Oh, I know where mine went, Mac. I sold it on eBay. I got a decent price for it, but now I'll pay triple what I sold it for to get it. So
and what you're saying about the eBay thing, I told one of my friends about when to sell and buy stuff, and he's like, he really helped him out. Paul, my friend Paul,
don't even bother. Don't even bother selling during the spring and summer because people are only they're cheap. They're don't do auctions because those are for suckers. Find your price, put it out there. I did a whole series on it, and February 15th just rolled over, and I've already started seeing prices come down. People are offering me discounts, and unfortunately, I'm still recovering from the holidays, so I won't be making any big expenditures. And if I were, they would be Kickstarters, because I don't know what is with I several of my friends have got Kickstarters starting in March, and several of the big companies that I always follow March. I'm like, I'm gonna have to go sell one of my kids' kidneys. I've only got one left, so. Oh wait, he's only got one left too.
Oh darn! Get
The Venture
find,
Brothers.
find something else to sell.
Mhm.
I know there've been times
You
in our
want to buy a
lives.
dog?
That's kind of a sore spot with us right now. We
Oh,
do
sorry to
want
hear.
a dog, but
Yeah, but I've been kind of hesitant. Our dog passed away a couple years ago, and I don't think I'm ready yet.
our
Mm.
daughter is, and I am.
You know, I hear that from everybody, and I forget what the name of the movie was. I never saw it, but I heard about it. You know, where your dog just keeps getting reincarnated into your next dog. So I told the family as soon as our 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 buddy, you know, goes to his next adventure, we're going down to the pound and getting another one that same day or the next day, whatever it takes.
Yeah, my daughter and I have gone a couple times to to our local shelter, and we fell in love with a couple dogs, but we haven't convinced this guy yet. So we got to work on
you
him.
know, your puppy, your old buddy, your pal would want you to go rescue some poor animal that's stuck in one of them cages.
I don't know. She was pretty jealous of everybody.
She was kind of jealous.
She was very jealous.
Yes,
she was
but
like,
now that they've gained enlightenment, you know, through passing on, they would probably, you know, if they could come back as a dog ghost, you know, a Jedi dog ghost in a robe, they would be go dog nougat, you know. And I'm not looking forward to it, but I kind of am because I want two now. Next time, get a boy and a girl and do it right. Because, kid you not, my dog was like 8, 9 years old. Almost never met another dog in its whole life, right? And animal people came to the door, going door to door, looking to see who had dogs and who had them fixed or not, just to drum up money. So my 8-year-old dog had to go get fixed, even though he'd never used those parts other than to mark his territory. And it was just an absolute miserable experience to the point that he's traumatized. If he goes in the car and we go to a certain place, he's just like freaking out. He knows. You're going to cut my balls off again? No, that's not how that works. But
okay.
Our dog was really funny when she got fixed. We got her as a puppy, and when she got fixed, she had this weird lump on her side. And it turns out, so we were getting her fixed anyway. So we took her to get fixed, and we said, just do exploratory surgery, figure out what this is. It ended up being a blade of grass that had somehow penetrated her skin, and her body had built this like fatty tumor around it. So it was Halloween, and she had just been spayed and had this tumor on her side cut out. And so she looked like Franken-Dog. She had this big drain. So we were all the whole family was dressed up that year for Halloween because she had a Franken-Dog costume. So it was fun, but we do miss her a lot. But
yeah, he had to wear the cone of shame, but he also had you know, an accident at the vets, you know, and they wouldn't let us clean him. Said you can't get wet the stitches, and it was just an awful experience.
Traumatic.
And he's been nothing but the, you know, the best dog I've ever had, smartest dog I've ever met, and you know, he still gives me the side eye. You know, I was like, yeah, I remember that shit. You know, so I'm serious. He has got a remarkable side eye on it. You know, he could just give you that look, and you're just like, I'm sorry, dude. But I did save his life, so he kind of owes me. I don't know how he can ever repay me, but you know.
Yeah, he repays you every day with his love. So
sometimes I don't know if I give it to him every day. No, you're totally right. Dogs are awesome. You know, and you know, I that's why I always in my games, if somebody wants a pet, you know, except for Raven who wants a dragon at first level, I'm like,
yeah, I think my last character had a cat, a pet cat, and I've had puppies in games. Yeah, I tend to get weird, quirky things in my characters. So, but it comes. I don't usually plan them. They just kind of happen because I try to let the character do its thing. So whatever my character does in the game, I just kind of let it evolve. And so my characters end up with these weird kind of personality, quirky things that all came from gameplay. I try to make it as organic as possible. So I always end up with some weird quirk. But
that just shows you're a good gamer.
It makes it fun. So, but I do the same with skills. Like I try not to power build characters either because I'm like, if I didn't use this skill or would have no reason to learn this skill, why would I learn this? I try to make it things that I actually experience. So
Yeah. I was thinking of the sci-fi thing earlier, and we did play a lot of Star Wars D6,
we did.
but I don't know if Star Wars counts as true sci-fi.
Um,
Because it's more fantasy.
Here's the thing. All the genres are fantasy. Technically.
Yeah,
Well,
that's true.
yeah,
that's true. Yeah. Well, I know even computer game wise, we played that VGA Planets back in the day, and
that was just, yeah.
And that's funny you mentioned Blink Dogs. I actually used Blink Dogs in the game I'm running last Sunday. I like to pull out those really oldie moldy monsters that most people have forgotten about or never encountered in the first place. I like to, goblins and orcs, kobolds. Don't expect to see them in my worlds. Just I'm burnt. Giant rats, forget it. I'll come up with something else. Just
there's so no rats of unusual size.
No. I there's so many great creatures in the books. Oh, my dog is on drugs apparently. He thinks he's gonna get my dinner. No, you can go. I know he was downstairs mooching, but my family brought up some fast food for me, and I know for a fact he had half of it downstairs, and he thinks he's a bottomless pit. He's only 35 pounds, but he's like that character from Futurama. He just eat and eat and eat. And eat.
Yeah.
Niddler, I think it was.
He said what a Blink Dog tastes like. That reminds me, we just watched Delicious in Dungeon, which was kind of a fun anime. I don't know if you've watched that, but it's basically they go through the dungeon eating all the monsters. It's pretty fun.
Knock it off.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
It was funny. I liked it.
So what's your favorite monster, Myke? To throw at players.
No.
I know what I think your favorite monster is.
Wow. So many.
I know, right?
Now, weird answer would be the character's own indecision or their morality, because I like that. That's when they have to make a decision.
Or NPCs.
Or just basic NPCs that they think are good.
Yes, he likes the. You can't trust a single NPC in his game ever because you don't know.
For Mac, it's werewolf. For Anon, it's the rust monster.
That's what we've played too. Other than D&D, we've played vampire, werewolf, mage, all of those things.
Yeah,
and even LARPing.
Even the own paranoia of the players is good.
Yeah.
How about you, Jen? What's your favorite?
A dragon.
monster?
Of course, it's a dragon. Of course.
Yeah, of course, it's a girl. Well, it was even better a unicorn or a Pegasus. You never know. Well, for me, everybody knows it's the Varguli. Okay, I'll break them up.
What is Connor's thing that he likes?
Remember.
Oh, I can't remember.
You go away. You're not getting not even one crumb, so go away. Can you open up your books to the exact page you want yet?
Not me. No. He might be able to. I can't.
I literally did it the other day in game. It's okay. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, yeah. Creepy.
It's a flying head.
Yeah, creepy.
Because when it bites you, the hit point damage is permanent.
Eek.
Trust me. Once the players find that out, it will haunt it will be the source of all their nightmares. Nothing puts fear, like real fear, into the players' other than like something like that's so
Mhm.
permanently damaging or scarring. I have seen 10th level characters run the heck out of my dungeon because there were Varghoulies, and it's like, nope.
That's it.
I didn't need a fear spell. Yeah, it's you hear flapping, almost bat-like, but it sounds different and yet familiar. As that old scar on your shoulder starts to ache, and they're like, done, done. Nope, sorry. And her Ravens is her mother. Okay.
Well, somebody mentioned Skaven. Skaven, I put Skaven in D&D. Rat men, and gave
that
them
don't that
infectious
don't that don't
bites,
change into humans. Yeah,
and gave them
I've done that.
infectious. Yeah, I like them. I like them. I like rat people. Not in real life. I don't like rats, but
Okay, that's I've heard that, Sean. That I want to do that too. Maybe if you lose all of your hit points permanently, then your head does detach and you become a Varghuli.
That's creepy.
Yeah, yeah. I like that.
I'm just waiting for one of his videos to come out that happened to somebody.
No, this is just waiting there patiently. He thinks he's going to get something, but it's not going to happen. It's literally not going to happen. Because you can eat meat today, I can't. So there, yeah. Yeah, I'm
Get your
trying
dog
something new.
baptized.
Yeah, right.
Get him going.
Oh, he says you'll be waiting a while.
Well, they need to get XP faster. Go.
Mm-hmm. Because depending on what kind of a bastard you are as a DM, that can count. Because they only have like 1 or 2 hit dice, so it could be a low level encounter. Your first level character, takes 4 points of damage. Now it has 1, and that's all it's ever going to have. I know, right?
Yeah.
I would never do that. I definitely consider them an upper tier monster. 10th level or something like that, just so you don't have that thing happen where it's like a first level character, running into like a white or something.
Well,
hit and they're dead.
On some of that things when people are like no fair, if you put enough hints, what I mean, predicated enough with here's something that's coming up. Oh, you're entering a borrow. Oh, this thing, the rumors are, this, there's like, people have been, like they're, they found dead, if you put enough hints and then they still go in and you're like, oh, you got killed. Okay.
Absolutely. Like in the old days, if you went into a dungeon, it was supposed to be it was supposed to be commensurate with your level. But out in the wilderness, I mean, unless the dungeon says, here there be dragons, you don't go in there because I've given you the warning. But if you go in anyways, you're gonna die.
Well,
but out in the wilderness, it was totally different. You could run into anything in the wilderness and just run. You got plenty of places to run to, so just run.
Dungeons have levels, running around, but also if you roll a random thing that is above the party, if you give them enough hints, make it fair. If they proceed to mess around, then they can find out. And some groups persevere and win, and that's cool. And some go in ill-prepared and die. And, it's a game.
Mm-hmm.
You move on.
Mm-hmm.
I've had,
I don't know what those are, Mac. What are Bergoglios?
I don't know what that is either.
I don't know.
Some sort of winged creature, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Probably something Italian. I don't know. Just a
I
guess.
like the fact that a group of them is called a murder, though, like crows.
Your flopping head thingy. Okay.
Oh.
Flopping head thingy.
Oh, those are Vargulis. Maybe
Hmm.
that's. But absolutely, someday, if you guys, make it past 4th level, I'll feel confident enough that you
So,
can handle the challenge.
I'm gonna ask you a question. Did you start your naval? Didn't you have a
Yes.
game
Yeah.
that's naval
It's on
based?
Sunday nights. And depending on a couple of players who are having, it's with a V, Mac. I may have some openings coming up because there are a couple of people who are having a hard time showing up.
Well, Sunday is my game that I play from 2 to 8.
Well, to
And
9
then-
by the time we
Well,
get home. 'cause
9
it's
by the
an
time I
hour
drive
away.
home. Yeah.
Yeah, we drive an hour to play that game. So
Oh, okay.
So
Because,
yeah.
if there was a game that was only an hour away, I'd seriously consider it. But
that's why we play every 2 weeks, every other week, because we're the farthest ones out. It's
Yeah.
down in the Palm Springs area, and we just we're an hour from there. So
And just like years ago before we moved, that meetup.com, I found a group out here to play with.
and they were down there too.
And then and then a couple years ago I found this group and I felt really good because even though they play 5e,
They're good
they
people.
lean towards more of an older style. So I'm like, okay.
And they're good people. So
And they're fun to
Yes.
play with. So that offsets the system, in my opinion. And the system's okay until you hit about 6th level.
Mhm.
And I've kind of I've ran a few times for them, and I always do I'm a no multi-classing, no extra book nonsense, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So it's worked out. And I do like when I run my own games, no matter what it is. Like you've played 1E, where that's your jam, right? Where elves
Mhm.
can't be resurrected. Or you don't like
I don't
resurrection at
actually-
all. Right?
I don't do that because I don't do resurrection at all.
Yeah, and I'm kind of okay with it. Even when I've allowed it, no one ever got resurrected.
yeah.
It didn't happen. You just died, or no one can make it back.
It should be so difficult to have that happen. I mean, look what happened when Conan tried it. It shouldn't be that, oh, well, we just need 50,000 gold. Oh, okay, here, I'll just dump out my bag of holding. Here you go. You bring them back. It shouldn't be like, getting your tires rotated,
Yeah.
And I've been in games where that is, in fact, the case. I was in one game last year where I watched 4 player characters die in the game, not me, and they all got brought back for, the equivalent of 5 or 10,000 gold pieces each, which wasn't even a consideration. It's just like, yeah, here you go. Cha-ching, in and out. It was just like, no, there's no challenge. There's no danger. There's no fear. There's, it's just, respawn kind of mentality that I even in my highest of Magic games, I want there to be something, some way to challenge the players and make them be careful. Otherwise, once they do get to like 4th, 7th, 9th level, depending on the game you're playing, they just walk through everything, because
Go on AD&D,
they can walk through everything, and they don't play and act like real people would. They act like freaking superheroes, and they should have those superhero moments, but they should actually earn them and then look back on them, not go, oh, it's just kobolds, we'll just wade through them. No, it shouldn't be like that. They should still fear a group of 1st level monsters, no matter who they are.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
You never
like
know.
yeah. Well, with 1E, like you play it as like oh god, I forgot my question. With because you don't do resurrection with that at all, right?
Pardon?
You don't do resurrections at all, right?
They're super rare, maybe 1 per campaign.
Yeah, because I like the resurrection. If you're gonna do it, it has to be kind of more ritualistic.
Right.
And
Or occasionally I'll give out like a potion of life where, so if someone dies, they can do it immediately. But even then, that's like a one-time thing throughout the campaign. Or reincarnation, maybe, but it's more of a, you're never going to see the character again, but you'll know they're out there.
right, and like, I mean, like 1E, if I remember right, because this is what I go by. Even in modern games, demi-humans can't be rezzed; they can only be reincarnated.
Uh,
I mean, you don't use
I
that,
don't,
but that's what
I
I
don't even
remember.
remember reading that, but if it's a thing, that's kind of one of those things that's a
Because,
setting
like,
specific rule, I
I
think.
thought it was like elves have spirits, not souls.
Sure,
That's
sure.
what I
But
remember.
but
I could be
you
wrong.
know, the way I look at it, it's like
I'm gonna go
not
with.
just setting,
I was
not just the setting specific thing, because in a different world with different gods and different religions and different power levels of the gods, if they want you coming back, they're going to make you come back. You know what I
right.
mean?
That's what. Well, Mage's music put in the chat. That's what I remember. Like, because I've told people, if you're an elf, if you die, you can only be reincarnated. You're not rezzed. Yeah. So you can be reincarnated as a gnome or some nonsense, but you're
Yeah, I
gone.
absolutely hate the way they did the reincarnation. It should be, coming back as a frog or a fox or something like that, which is in one of the books, I believe, where you can come
Yeah.
back as an animal. Um, then what? Why even tell them? You should just say, they're not dead. They're because they should be being reborn, and have to go through many a year of all of that. You shouldn't even meet the character for years, if
Mm.
not decades. And then, it should be way for, the DM to go, oh, it's so and so 20 years later, now they're a first level character, not, a body appears, of a dwarf, and your character's soul is in it. That's why not just do freaking resurrection? You know what I mean? That's just nonsense. A true reincarnation would be, they're out there in the world somewhere. Good luck finding them. And why would you waste your 7th level spell on that? It's like, yeah, they're gone. Bummer. Let's, you know, journey on and raise dead. It's kind of the same thing. What I do is I do the mostly dead, the death's door sort of thing. The death's door spell was a spell that allowed you to not die at more than so many negative hit points. Like if you go the -10 or negative con, you could be brought back -20 or 30
Well,
or something like that. So you
well,
didn't
that was
really
the
die.
that was a
You
question I was going to pose to you about AD&D. What is your death threshold? Because I did -10.
sorry, what?
No, what is your death threshold for AD&D?
It's -10.
Yeah, that's what I did. I don't know if
Negative
I made it.
con, negative con, there's a chance that somebody dump statted their con, which, I've only seen that happen once, and that was me in a game I'm in now, because I had a 14. I get to put my stats where I wanted. I'm like,
Oh,
if I put the 14 in con, I'm getting nothing. But if I put it in charisma, I'm actually going to get something. And the DM's like, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. I'm like, I'm doing it anyways, because I didn't want to actually be running a straight human fighter, but that's all I could be. So if he dies because he's got a low con, I just get to roll up a new character. Unfortunately, the game we were in Monday night, we found our very first magic item, and it was a +2 tower shield that in Castles and Crusade put my AC up to 20. So I'm like, well, shit. With that, I'm good luck hitting me. I'm just gonna walk around, be the tank, and it'll work.
yeah. See,
It's like
what
having
made
a -10 armor class, at 3rd level in AD&D. So I'm like,
that's what I was looking at the chat mages. That's why people like that I rely on for remembering the rules that I just kind of think I remember. The -10 rule.
Mhm.
And the DMG for 1E is the book I use to this day, even for other editions. That's the, what do you call it? I don't know.
Your standard.
I don't know. It's like it's like the standard thing to look at.
And Mac, I absolutely love splitting the party. Get used to it. Those traps that did that, the sliding, pit trap or whatever, suddenly one or two characters are now separated. Oh, talk about another way of actually instilling fear into the party. Yes, the DMG is possibly the greatest gift to the RPG library, as far as I'm concerned. I still, teleporting trap.
It's also a great way to give the people who have to go take care of some kids real quick a break from the game. That's what I always looked forward to. Oh, the party's split? Okay, well, you guys do that. I'm going to go take care of the kids. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm such a huge fan of that book. I don't care what game you're playing. Grab that. Also grab the Administrator's Guide for Top Secret SI, because that's the book that actually tells you how to run a game. Not the rules, but the psychology and the things they don't teach you in the Monster Manual, I guess. Just all
the soft skills.
Right, knowing your party, not necessarily catering to them, but at least getting them, the first one's free kind of mentality.
Even
Getting
though
them
it's
hooked.
for top secret, does it cover more than just espionage?
That's the cool part about it, is it really doesn't go into. It's like honestly, it's like a system agnostic book. You could use all the tools about being a good DM, making good villains. And there are no numbers, except page numbers. There's no stats. It's just the psychology and, like Jen said, the soft skills of being a good DM, and throwing different challenges at them. And it was amazing. I had read it when I was younger. But when I was rereading it last month, it was like, this is all the game theory discussions that we have in the community right now. It's the Top Secret SI. Here, let me just write it down for you guys. Administrator's Guide.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the debate between probably rules, applications, and how people are interpreting it has probably been, well, of course, it's been from the beginning. And then
It's
being
a
rule
phenomenal
neutral.
and you can pick up, the Top Secret game for like $20-$30, which has got a lot of stuff in it, where you can just go read the PDF on Scribd, and it was just so amazing that all this stuff was written back, 1987 or what have you, all in one really concise book. And I've been talking about the same stuff without, using memory of reading it, but having had to learn it all the hard way. And whoever wrote it back then, obviously much older than me, and got it all down right.
I think that's the kind of the fun of our hobby, is, in a weird way, things that people make videos now of how to do this and that. If you look at older versions of the game and the articles, they already figured it out. The balance between role play and roll the dice play and all that, it's been talked about.
Like a million times. Whoops.
Yeah.
Especially, I'm new to YouTube. I've only been doing it for almost 4 years. In August, I didn't use YouTube at all. Never watched it, except occasionally when I wanted to watch like Golden Earrings Twilight Zone video, something like that, And my son was, total master at it. 11 years old, he already knew how to do everything. And well, he's like, "Why aren't you watching YouTube?" I'm like, "Because I'm, doing things, real things, And you're right. The people out there are, all day long. You can find a million videos on this hobby, which is amazing when you think about it. That there's so many people out there offering up their advice and their experiences, etc. Obviously there's a lot of shills out there for products, but that's what I'm looking forward to seeing from you guys.
Well,
the most.
wait do you see our top 10 5e builds video?
No.
Nice. Why is it?
I'm not into builds with the game. And it's kind of funny because like my youngest son that has done a lot of theory crafting with WoW at first, or with not WoW, but
WoW too.
But when he played 5e, he kind of started the theory crafting with characters, and then after about a couple months, he was like, "I don't like this." And then he's like encountering people that are like, he's like, "Every paladin should be lawful good," and I'm like, "Oh, that hits me right here," because he was like, "Every paladin should be lawful good. There shouldn't be paladins," because there's weird oaths in 5e with oath of this and oath of that, and he's like, "No, you should be lawful good."
Heresy.
Yeah, he was like, I was like, "Oh, this sounds," it's like, yeah, that's how the game was kind of designed.
Yeah,
and I thought that was kind of
it's fun seeing.
It's kind of funny that he fumbled on that on his own and then told me about it. Like he's like, "Dad, I think this is the way it should be," and I was like, "Yes, I agree."
That's my boy. I got the same feeling when, "Hey James, what's happening, buddy?" When I got my son to watch, first it was Silent Running, Slow and Green, then Rollerball. And this was about 2 years ago. And my old man did the same thing for me. It's like, "You got to watch this movie. You got to watch this movie." And we did reviews on those 3 movies because I thought they were, important for him to see as well. And when we were talking about Rollerball, he got it. You know what I mean? He totally. It's like, oh, we're going to give up all of our morals and values and whatnot for, for these other things. And I was just like, super proud moment.
Yeah. 3D6 down the line is kind of a way to do it. I love that because it kind of makes you play the character that you fumble upon.
I like that way. I like random table rolling sometimes, and I like the what you get, and you don't throw a fit kind of thing, because to me, like, I'll make the same character over and over and over again all day without even meaning to, because it's what I gravitate towards. So for me, having something that, oh, this is what I have to do, okay, it makes me kind of think outside the box and come up with other ideas. So I like that.
Yeah, to be honest, guys, I'm not a fan. If I'm in the mood to play a Magic User, I'm playing a Magic User, or I'm going to find another game.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't. Well, but I
like, if I'm going to be in a game,
the reason I like it for myself, I am so indecisive.
Yes.
Like as a player, because I'm like usually running the game. So as a player, I want random stuff to just tell me what to play, and then I'll figure it out. So I like it, and that's why I like it.
See, for me, I've been the eternal GM for all but the last 2 years of my gaming, history. And mind you, that's 45 some odd years. And when I finally get into a game, I don't have a lot of time, so playing something that especially a cleric, which I absolutely refuse to play for various reasons, I won't do it. If that's the only seat at the table is a cleric, I'll find another table. Just not doing it.
Oh, that's sad. Clerics are some of my most fun characters.
But
they're absolutely great characters.
Because I understand the whole thing, like where we make the character and you're the last guy to join, so it's like you play this. No.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. No, I don't want to do that. I get that. Yeah.
Plus, I when I did play back in the day, and I've done it all, but there are a few things that, like Elven multi-class characters. I've only played 2 in my whole life as a player character, and one was a one shot, and one was a very very long time ago, and nobody wants that. Nobody wants those characters in an AD&D game. They're, admittedly, they are incredibly front loaded. And when my players were playing, it's like, why would we play anything else? The advantages are amazing. And the idea that we're, actually going to get to a topping out point was, years down the road. So why would you not?
Yeah, and when you're starting out, you never know what's going to happen. You never know who's going to, well, unless you're playing very story mode, who's going to die, who's going to re-roll. You never know. So, yeah.
Because I'm not good enough to play a cleric. Well, there's that. I just don't like pretending to worship something that's fake. You say I can be a Catholic cleric. Oh, okay, maybe, but all that other stuff, it just no. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have all kinds of fake gods in my games, but I don't want to do it personally. You never know when you cross the line as a player. If my players are comfortable with being clerics to the funny made up gods in my world. Awesome, but that means about a complex game. Play with bars, combats, loots, and side quests. Okay, yeah, I find also that if like right now, Raven, she's in my game. If I told her she had to play a fighter, or because of her stats, this is all you could get. You know what I mean? This is the only thing you could play. Probably wouldn't be interested, and I can see, especially today, it's like I can go play a video game and I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
If I'm going to sit down at the table, at least offer me something. Make the buy-in a little easier to swallow, I guess.
I think it's what people want. Like that's why, like as a forever DM, when I sit on a play, I like the dice telling me what to play, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, that's why I could never get into Warhammer Fantasy Battles, because that's the only way in is random. I'm like, yeah, well, if I'm not in the mood to play a thief, which is never, but just for example, or because there are people out there that they're like me, they don't want to run a certain thing. They're not going to be great at it. They may get better at it, but they're never going to go into it with, at least in my experience, with the gusto that they would if they finally get to play that barbarian they've always wanted to play. It's kind of like the same with the excitement of DMs who are kind of forced to run games they don't want to play versus that game that they just brought home. They're like, oh, guys, I can't wait to run this game. And then it ends up being one of the best games ever because of the excitement level.
And I think that's a good point. Is like, that's why I like the dice to tell me, because I have that. I've played so many human fighters or wizards that I'm like, I'm excited when the dice tell me play something else, dude, and I'm okay with that.
But I mean, if that's a choice, if your choice is
and my choice is random,
if your choice is I want to be told what to do, then do that. So if your choice is no, I want to choose what.
But if somebody if they're envisioning playing the game as a spellcaster and you say no, that kind of shuts down literally their fantasy. So and I get that, then that's not fun for them. So you go like, whether you do stat arrangement or point by, I've played it all, but
exactly,
as long as whatever it is they're jonesing to play doesn't go against working as a team for the group and make it unfun
or
for
the setting.
else,
if someone wants to run a tiefling and there are no tieflings in your world, especially these days, with there being so many options of what you can run according to the books, there's all these races. I've had many a time where I've had to tell people, sorry, you can't run that. They don't exist. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, not every world is going to be identical to the setting world of whatever. And
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of making brand new worlds that aren't like the traditional standard world that you see everywhere else.
Oh,
The typical medieval European, quasi Earth.
okay. This is my argument. We don't really play medieval in D&D.
No.
No, yeah. It's more like it gets jacked up to almost like a Wild West setting where you have saloons that it's come on. You have an inn you can stay in, where all that stuff in the medieval times or whatever didn't really exist, but yeah, so it's fantasy. It's this fake medieval.
Well, I've been in a bunch of games where it was as Earth-like as they could possibly make it.
Now I'm only speaking from whatever. I've heard rumors that you have lived through these times and know this. This is just what I've heard. You know these things.
Nice,
so
nice.
You're more the expert. But I'd rather have there be, the stupid tavern inn where you just move on with it and have fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly thought the whole tavern inn thing was only certain places throughout Europe actually had them.
It was later where they had the coach service and whatever. Much like your son, my oldest son was very historically accurate and was really, I was like, stop. Just stop. There's an inn in this town.
High tech to magic, like. Wait, what? Getting kidnapped and losing an arm to the Picts is no joy fest. Yeah,
I would imagine not.
Well, any game that has Picts in it is going to be pretty rough. Just saying.
Yeah.
Do they steal arms?
Conan's world is a rough place, and it's funny because I have. I'll just show you real quick. I would never in a million years play this.
I have that.
I've got all the
yes.
all the expansions, etc. I would never play this game. Never in a million years. I know how the world's going to end, and it's not going to be pretty.
Don't tell me. When the last page of that book was, I was like, no, I don't want to know. No, yeah, but yeah, I have several versions of different Stormbringer games and Elric, and yeah, I like the setting, but yeah, it ends. Let's not tell anybody.
Right. The same with Conan. I played in a Modifius Conan game. It was fun, but I'd rather read the books. Nobody's going to do it as good as Howard, and same as Michael Moorcock. I would just rather read the books. I'm going to get way more out of it, I think, than I would playing or running somebody else's world than I would get creating my own. There are a lot. There's like even John Carter. Everybody out there knows how much I love the John Carter IP, but I know I couldn't run it. I couldn't do it justice. No matter how much of a fanboy I am for one of those IPs, I just don't think I could do it right. I don't think I would do it justice. And I'd rather just, if I need that fix, I'll read, one of the books or all of the books, the actual picks. How about you guys? Do you guys ever run IPs?
Pixar didn't happen. We played Star Wars. We played Star Trek.
And Star Trek. Uh-huh.
Did you play in the Galactic Empire, or did you go all the way back to the Old Republic?
We played during the rebellion,
Yes.
but we didn't. There was hints of Luke and their nonsense going on. I remember, but we didn't really encounter it. We just played our own storylines, doing things.
Yeah.
That's what I
But
remember.
Did we play a Buffy game or no?
Yes, but it was not based. It didn't use any of the characters.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other things.
I think that's the only way you can really go and do that. Because
I played in a Serenity game, like Firefly, but we played in a separate. We didn't play through the storyline, or we did totally different. Yeah,
Yeah.
was it the early one? Yeah, I played that. Yeah, and I thought the system was fun, but we didn't play the same things. We didn't play out the same. I mean, the guy knew a lot about it, but we played different plot lines. And I think that's the thing with like playing Conan. Well, you can play in the world, but when you play Elric and things, it's two things. It's like watching a movie. You want, like, if you play a Marvel movie, you want Captain America to show up. If you play Elric, you want Elric to show up, or you want hints of that. If you're just playing the world, nothing shows up. Like if you play Star Trek and there's like no Federation, you know what I mean? There's, it's like,
I can see playing like Star Trek or Star Wars without any of the main characters showing up.
They've expanded, it leads to a bigger universe, but on some things, it's like the universe is surrounded by the IP.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes too, it feels like if all the epic storyline and the heroism in the world has been changed by those well-known characters, then what am I doing here? I don't really have anything to do. They're going to do all the work, because if you can't really affect that outcome, then you can't play at the same time. You could play in the same universe, but you couldn't really play at the same time because you can't affect that. So it kind of takes away your agency as a character a little bit.
Well, folks, I got to say goodnight. My game is starting. I think I might even be late. It's got a message from my guys. But I'm actually in a GURPS sci-fi game with both Paints Minis. And awesome. we didn't get to play last week, so we got a lot of making up to do. But, folks, go out there and make sure you subscribe to Married with Gaming and tell them I sent you.
Yes. And tell us what you want to see.
Yeah, tell us Shadow and Sun, the ambassador of role playing on YouTube sent you.
Yeah.
I've been saying that a lot, even though this particular case is kind of silly. But thanks for coming on, guys. We got to hang out more. I do shows on Thursdays and Saturdays. If you guys ever want to come in, you'll have to share a camera. But, I think everybody, they're going to love you as much as we do. And I'm serious. I want to see you guys more. Keep me posted. I've already hit the bell icon, but if you don't see or hear from me, reach out to me. Reach out to all our great friends out here who showed us in the chat tonight. Thank you, everybody. I hope you guys had fun tonight. I hope you guys have a great weekend. And until next time, folks, happy trails.
Bye.
Peace.